Blood and Salt by Liggett. Read to you by me. Chapter 12. Tradition. Assaulted by a gang of warm, soft bodies, Rhys and I were quickly separated by a flurry of hugs, tears of joy, and bursts of exhilaration. Before I even knew what was happening, I was collared behind a flimsy screen. Well, she's a larkin, all right. A sprightly woman with dark brown spiral curls came in close to study my face. Just look at those eyes. No need to be shy, a burly woman said as she stripped off my blood-smeared blouse. Can't go to your wreathing ceremony like that. We're happy you're home. A woman glanced up at me, shyly through light blonde eyelashes, as she crushed a soft gold substance in a pestle with gardenia and orange blossom-scented oil. You must be so proud of your mother and father. Off we go. Someone peeled off my camisole. Wait, I sputtered as I clasped my arms around my bare chest. Two young girls crept behind the screen, giggling like hyenas as they pried off my boots and socks. Okay, if you can just hold on a minute. It's a happy day indeed. A small bird-like one with brown frizzy hair reached in and ripped the bandage off my collarbone. Hey, I yelled, but they weren't paying any attention to me. Is that really her? A young girl approached, a spray of freckles across her nose and cheeks, trying to see around the ample rumps surrounding me. Oh, look at this fancy clasp, another woman said as she unbuttoned my skirt. What the fuck? I screamed as my skirt dropped around my ankles. The room went deathly silent. They all looked at me in shock, like I'd just given them a universal slap. I peeked my head behind the screen to find Rhys writing down the inside of his cheek, desperately trying not to laugh. I was on my own. I stood there in my underwear, covering up the best I could with my hands, trying to figure out what to do next. And Beth sidled up to me with a tense smile. It's part of the tradition, Ash. Ceremony, Ash. Tradition, she whispered. Why was she helping me? Did she know what Rhys and I were up to? She was a seer, which meant she could see the future. Granted, she was a broken seer, but it seemed like I should keep an eye on her anyway. What she means is she's excited, Beth announced to the crowd. Right, Ash? She nudged me in the ribs. That's the word they use for excitement where she comes from. Yeah, I managed a shaky smile. I'm excited. All the tension disappeared from Beth's face, and the woman picked up right where they all left off. Shoved up all my clothes. I was bullied into a copper tub full of warm water and rose petals. Not the roses you find in a cheesy honeymoon suite. These were real roses. Wild roses, the kind that gave off a scent of some forgotten time. I didn't even like changing clothes for gym. Being bathed by a creepy cult was not on my favorite things to do list. The same woman who removed my bandage reached forward to untie the ribbon from my neck. I seized her hand. The ribbon stays. Let the girl be, Agnes, a soft voice beckoned. I released Agnes's from my vice grip. She backed away from the tub, looking more than a little terrified. I had no idea what made me react so strongly. Your ribbon's lovely, the woman with the kind voice settled next to me on a wooden stool. She had a shock of long white hair, and the skin around her cornflower blue eyes looked like a weathered parchment. I'm Lucy. My friends call me Lou. I pulled my knees tight to my chest, half intrigued, half horrified by the scene playing out before me. These women looked fairly normal, considering how isolated they were from the rest of the world. Maybe a century or so behind times, fashion-wise, but they seemed healthy and happy. There were three distinct looks. Some had thick black hair and olive skin. Others were certainly built megawatt blondes. And then there were redheads with spindly limbs and wide smiles. Ash, Rhys called out meekly. Things okay, I might just wait outside. I peeked through the cloud of women to see my brother inching his way against the far wall, trying to make his escape. Beth caught his arm and swung him back into the thick of it. Ladies, this is Rhys Locker, and yes, he's unattended. The room erupted into a fit of cackles and catcalls. The look of horror he shot my way as they pawed him was priceless. May I? Lou asked as she held up a pitcher of water. Reluctantly, I tilted my head back and let her pour the water over my hair. I remember when I prepared your mother for this very occasion, 17 years ago, she said. You look so much like her. Just the mention of her brought up so many feelings. Fear, hope, but above all, love. When can I see her? I asked, trying to bury my emotions, but the quiver in my voice betrayed me. Soon. Luz smiled, her eyes twinkling. This must be overwhelming for you, she said as she worked a tree oil into my hair, especially since you're a conduit. I inhaled sharply. What do you know about that? And since auras, I definitely feel another presence with you. But Spencer already told us what you are. Who's Spencer? I asked, sitting up straight, sloshing water over at the side of the tub. Spencer Mendoza. He's the spiritual leader of the community. Katya's eyes and ears. She snapped her fingers, motioning to the water on the floor. Beth was talking to my brother, fetched a rag, and maneuvered through the gatherings. Sorry about that, I winced, peering down at the puddle. No bother, she said, with a shrug as she mopped up the floor. Lou leaned forward and whispered, They say being a conduit is a curse, but you control it very well. Not well enough, I thought to myself. My mother helped me. I can see that, Beth chimed in with a reassuring smile. I ran my fingers over the last tattoo, wondering if it really was a curse. There was no pain when I touched it. I looked down to see that it had completely healed. I remember my mother had pricked her finger with a bone needle when she was working on me. How she pressed my finger against my wood. As Katya's vessel, maybe she was already immortal? Could she have healed me like Katya healed Alonzo? She'd never been sick in her day, never been to the hospital, and she always looked so young. Maybe the reason the protection marks weren't working anymore is because her blood healed me up before it could take effect. Maybe it messed everything up. As they scrubbed the grime of the outside world from my body, they told me stories about Katya. They spoke of her wisdom and kindness, the horrible injustice of Coronado killing Alonso and forcing Katya to make him her mortal mate. But the biggest tragedy was when Coronado killed Katya's 17-year-old daughter, Marie. To make matters worse, Luz said as she leaned close, they say Marie was in love with Coronado. She was just a young woman. A first love is often the hardest. Can you imagine? Marie thought Coronado hung the moon, and then he killed her. Like a cygnet, a crow, wings outstretched, a star in one claw, a moon in the other. Coronado is a trickster. He's capable of all kinds of treachery, and black magic. A shiver of recognition rushed through me, and I remembered my mother's studio filled with those blackbirds. Was Coronado looking for her? Lou placed her hand on my shoulder startlingly. It might seem like a bunch of hooey to you, but we're going ahead with the wreathing ceremony this year when there's no need. But this tradition, we didn't even know till a few days ago that Ian promised for the chosen vessels. Katya kept it a secret all this time to protect them from Coronado, but now the chosen vessels are coming home to welcome the corn again. Once again, she said with a childlike grin. What does that mean, walk the corn? I asked, peeling a rose petal off my shoulder. At the wreathing ceremony, the Larkin girl chooses a Mendoza boy, the boy of her heart. Then at high noon on the summer solstice, Katya leads the couple into the corn, to a barren, sacred circle of earth, the spiritual heart of Quivira. There, Katya tests the girl's blood, hoping to find her vessel, the perfect match, so she can be free of her bond to Coronado and be reunited with Alonzo. But what will happen this year to my mom and my dad? Just saying the word dad out loud made my heart ache in a way I hadn't expected. Nina and Thomas will walk the corn for the last time. Katya will take them to the sacred circle. As Katya's soul enters the vessel, she'll shed her body like a cocoon. When that happens, Coronado will be forced out of his own body, without a vessel of his own. So will be forced to wander the earth alone, always searching, always longing. The Great Spirit will deliver Alonso's soul into the Mendoza vessel, happily ever after. I couldn't help thinking of the dead girl, the wound on the palm of her hand. What happened to all the Larkin girls and Mendoza boys who went to the sacred circle before my mother and father? Lou's fingers stiffened in my hair. A look of regret seemed to pass over her face. People don't speak from beyond the corn, she said in a hushed tone. The woman with frizzy brown curls came near Lou whole demeanor changed. The unchosen Larkin girl, when the boat was a boy, leave the safety of the corn to live their lives in the outside world. But this year, special. She leaned back, resuming her scrubbing duties. After the ritual is complete, we'll be one big happy family forever. I couldn't help but think I was missing something. Why was this such a big deal to them? What were they getting out of it? An explosion of giggles pulled my attention to the center of the room, where girls of every age were scrambling around, trying to get ready, brushing one another's hair, doing last-minute mending. I think that's what made it so unsettling. It was all so ordinary, like they were getting ready for a school dance, not preparing for a cult ceremony. What exactly do I have to do at this wreathing thing? I asked as Lou began to work my tangles out with a wide-toothed wooden comb. Girls, bring me the basket, please. Lou made room for Beth and another girl to step forward and kneel in front of the tub. They were carrying a large broom basket with dark green leaves from the cornstalks. This is Lauren Mendoza, and you know our Beth. I liked the way she said our Beth, like she belonged to everyone. There was something so endearing and goofy about this girl. Beth extended the basket to me. Please take a leaf. I noticed a scar on her inner wrist, an unmistakable C running on her delicate skin. I looked around for the same mark on the other girls, but only Beth had one. The girls will show you how to make the wreath, Lou said as she dried my hair with a cloth. The other girl, Lauren, was stunning. Olive skin, long hair parted in the center, showing off her widow's peak. The last bit of light streaming through the window seemed to bend to her face as if it wanted to be there. There was no warmth in her. She gave off a good scent of morning. Take 3 leaves and bind them together, one after the other, Beth said. I tried to do it, but my fingertips slipped and fumbled. Beth was patient and encouraging, but Lauren countered that with a lot of heavy sighing and eye rolling. When the ceremony starts, Beth said, cover your eyes with a sash, and I'll lead you to the line of eligibles. The Larkin women have a heightened sense of smell. Under different circumstances, you'd use your senses to recognize your soulmate. Beth leaned in as if she were going to tell me some deep, dark secret. Katya chose for you, number 9. Lauren accidentally crushed one of the leaves in her hand. Beth gave her a widened look of horror. I'm sorry, Lauren whispered so quietly. I wondered who the apology was for. I went back to work on the wreath, but it felt like the leaves were wrestling against me. Beth kept glancing back at my brother. He was being doted on by a girl with 2 long coppery braids. She had taken it upon herself to clean and rebandage Rhys' knee. He looked like he was going to pass out. Who's that? I asked, as I leaned forward in the tub, trying to get a better view. Beth turned her back to me, her cheeks flushed with embarrassment. Oh, that's my half-cousin Betsy Grimsby. She's unattended, too. Clearly, Beth had a little crush on my brother. So, tell me about number 9, I said, trying to distract her. You're not braiding the leaves right. Lauren glared at me through her shiny black lashes. Then why don't you do it for me? I pushed my shoddy word toward her. Believe me, I would if I could, but I can't. She forced it back into my hands. I had no idea what I'd done to piss her off, but she made me anxious. And I hated being this bad at anything. We can't tell, Beth patted my arm. It has to be your own creation. It's tradition. You're doing really well for your first time. She could barely say with a straight face. I mean, it's more symbolic than anything. I looked down at the limp, massacred leaves in my hand and laughed. Poor number 9. Number 9. Aside from Lauren's sour mood, the atmosphere was jovial. Everyone seemed excited and full of life. It was contagious. I had to remind myself that these people were total freaks who wanted to steal my mother's body. She's ready, Lou said with a flourish of her pretty fingers. The woman helped me out of the tub and began to smooth the warm, cold-flecked oil into my skin. It took everything I had to make myself stand there and let them do it. There wasn't anything sexual about it. In fact, it was just the opposite. It just seemed almost reverent. But I got irritated when people brushed up against me in the subway. The plan had been to gain their trust. I didn't expect the process to be this hands-on. You look perfect, Lou said as she slipped a sheer white cotton sheath over my head, just as I imagined. I ran my fingertips over the delicate lace scalloping the neckline. I wondered if it was the same gown my mother wore on the night of her wreathing ceremony. Lou led me to a full-length mirror. I couldn't help but smile. I looked like a painted tintype from another country. I knew the girl standing before me. but she looked like a better version of me. My loose waves were threaded with tiny wheat elysium blooms, skin smooth as silk. The long, willowy lines of my body seemed more powerful now. The downward cut of my mouth, that had always felt childish, had become more sensuous. Even my eyes appeared more striking, like deep water that had been set afire. A drum outside began to pound slowly and steady, like a dirge. As the woman formed a line, I realized it was a signal that the ceremony was about to start. Beth led me to the back of the line. Rhys joined us, looking like he'd been through the ringer. Don't be nervous. Beth squeezed my arm like a blood pressure cuff, which only made me more nervous. My body battled between anxiety and excitement. I wanted answers. I wanted to remain indifferent, see what this was all about. But the community seemed perfectly harmless as far as cults go. And dare I say, charming? Beth gave me some last advice. Remember, all you have to do is walk down the line, stand in front of number 9, say, "My body, my soul, I commit to you." You remove your blindfold, and you put the wreath on his head. That simple. And have fun with it. Make it suspenseful. Wait till you see him. She leaned on me like a crutch. He's so humpable. Humpable? I repeated in disbelief. Hump is when you kiss a boy you're not intended for. Oh God, Beth, that's not what. The doors opened and Beth hurriedly tied the sash over my eyes. Rhys made sure it wasn't too tight. The gesture made me breathe a little easier. With Beth on one side and Rhys on the other, I clutched my side wreath, and they led me down the stairs towards the entrance. You don't have to do this, Rhys whispered. It'll be fine, I squeezed his arm. We need to play along for now. But for me, it was more than playing along. Something about being here in this moment felt right. And that scared me more than anything.